It's the beginning of January, beginning of a new year, so let's talk about the 8 books that I read in the month of December. Hi, my name is Jonathan, and this is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. I'm an elementary school teacher who reads middle grade books, among other things, so that I can make recommendations when my students come to me asking what they should read. So, if you are interested in finding good recommendations for your kids, or maybe you like to read middle grade, hit the subscribe button so that you can join the conversation. So, like I said, in December, I was able to read 8 books. Now, it helped that the last 2 weeks of December were my Christmas vacation. We had off from the afternoon of December 19th until Monday, January 5th, when my school goes back. So I was able to get a lot of reading done during that time. Book Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now, if you're interested in knowing more about Rebecca, I'll leave a link to my video that I did of me reading through it and giving my thoughts on the book as I went through it. But the book Rebecca, it's about a young woman. We never know her name. She marries a man named Maxim who owns an estate called Manderley. And after they get married, and they only knew each other for just a couple of weeks, it was a very quick whirlwind relationship. They got married and they moved in. But the narrator can't quite get past the specter or the memory of Maxim's first wife, whose name is Rebecca, which is who the book is named after. And so she is trying to learn how to live in this big estate where everything is tied back to Rebecca. Now, I went into this book thinking it was a ghost story, and I guess in a sense it is, but it's more a psychological thriller. And there's a lot of things that happen in this book, particularly once sins of the past start to be revealed. Like I said, I will leave a link to my video on this book if you are interested more. But that was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It was actually also, I put it on my best books of 2025 as an honorable mention. And I'll leave a link to that video if you'd like to check that one out as well. Then after I read that, I had the opportunity to read an advanced reader copy of a book that comes out January 6th, and that was called X Marks the Haunt by Lindsay Currie. And if you know anything about Lindsay Currie, she writes middle grade ghost stories, usually set in a cemetery, most often set in the city of Chicago. And that's exactly what this book is as well. There's a boy who his mom is the general manager of a cemetery, and he kind of keeps it secret because he doesn't want people to make fun of him because he spends all of his time in a cemetery. And there are some of his classmates that come, and a prank goes wrong, and in doing so, it unearths a ghost that has some unfinished business. And so this young man and several of his friends have to figure out what it is that the ghost wants and how to fix it so that the ghost can get some rest. If you've read a Lindsay Currie book, you know that that's pretty much the typical storyline. This one was great. I really like this book. It's going to be a good one to add to collections or make recommendations for when it comes out in January. But this one had a really sweet ending because not only does the young man learn to kind of, stumbling over my words here. Not only does the young man come to appreciate working at the cemetery, but he also stands up to some bullies and makes friends with a young man whose father is an undertaker who works at a funeral home. And it was just a really nice way that all tied together. So that was X Marks the Haunt by Lindsay Currie. After that, I started a brand new series. And the first book in that was called The Improbable Tales of Baskerville Hall by Ali Standish. And this is kind of a reimagining of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Well, he was actually just known as Arthur. who gets invited to go to a special school called Baskerville Hall. And so while he's there, he meets several friends. He meets Jimmy Moriarty. He meets a girl named Irene. He has a friend named Pocket, who that's not actually her name. She's just known that way because the dress that she always wears has so many pockets. And then there's Grover, who is obsessed with all things supernatural and death and cemeteries and that. And in this particular one, they are trying to figure out what this secret organization called Clover is. And there may or may not be a dinosaur. There's a lot going on. This was a really fun, wonderful series. There are 3 books in the series, and as you'll see here in just a minute, I read another one. But that was The Improbable Tales of Baskerville Hall by Ali Standish. And the great thing about this book, not only does it have Arthur Conan Doyle, who was the creator of Sherlock Holmes, you also have Jimmy Moriarty. If you know anything about Sherlock Holmes, you know that James Moriarty was his greatest villain. There's actually Professor Holmes and Dr. Watson. They're both teachers at this school. Really fun mystery. Then after I read that, I read another new release, and this one was called Busted. It is by Dan Gemeinhart, pardon me. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. And I have to tell you, was not very excited about this book. So this is the story of a young man who lives with his grandfather at a retirement home, and he is an intricate part of the retirement home community. Sounded a lot like the book Old School by Gordon Corman, which was a fabulous, fun book. This one, though, the young man finds out that there is new ownership of the retirement home, and they're raising his grandfather's rent beyond what he's able to pay. So he's trying to come up with a plan on how they can stay. When another of the residents, someone that the other residents don't particularly care for because he comes from a life of crime, offers him a bunch of money if he'll break him out of the retirement home. And so it begins this whole road trip where the kids, because there's another girl who tags along, they end up doing a lot of really dangerous stuff, getting involved with some criminals, and there's a illegal gambling ring. They steal a car at one point, and they just go from bad idea to bad idea to bad idea. I'd like to say that the ending was sweet. It really wasn't. I mean, just did not like this book at all. It was not one that I would recommend, but I'm including it here because, I did read it. After that, I read another Lindsay Currie book. I checked out a bunch of books from my school library to read over break, and this one was called It's Watching. And this one is also a Lindsay Currie ghost story that is set in a cemetery. And there's a group of friends who unearth something as they're out on a field trip. And so they have to figure out how to solve the mystery because the ghost that was woken up, I guess is a good way to put it, is very angry. And so they're trying to figure out how to solve the mystery and figure out what it is that the ghost wants. And they only have a certain number of days in which to do it. This one was really fun as well. Like I said, Lindsay Currie books, they're great. She's quickly becoming one of my favorite writers. I'm planning on trying to read through as many of her books as I can. After finishing that one, I went back to Baskerville Hall and I read the second one in the series called The Sign of Five. This is the second. So the first one, The Improbable Tales of Baskerville Hall, took place in the first quarter. Then they come back, they take a break, and then the students come back for the second quarter. And this one involves the invention convention. So all of the students are trying to invent something. There's a mysterious detective who is investigating something, and he's trying to uncover some things. And while all of that is happening, several of the professors, including Professor Holmes, one of the other teachers, they all end up getting poisoned. And so Arthur and his friends are trying to figure out who is poisoning them and why they're doing it. And it has ties to a ghost and some mysterious stuff that took place in the past. If you like boarding school books, if you're interested in mysteries set in schools, I would definitely recommend the Improbable Tales of Baskerville Hall series by Standish. Both books that I've read, I'm currently reading through the third one right now. They're all excellent, lots of fun. I'm very glad to have them. After I read that, I went in another Sherlock Holmes direction, and I read The Downward Spiral by Ridley Pearson. This is the second book in the Lock and Key series, which is about James Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes. They're roommates at a boarding school in Connecticut. So it's kind of set in modern times. And it's told by Maurier, James's sister. And they are still trying to investigate the death of their father and trying to figure out who was responsible for it and why. Now, I will tell you that having read the Improbable Tales of Baskerville Hall, which had some scary stuff, but it was still very lighthearted, these books, the Lock and Key series by Ridley Pearson, they're really dark. And there is some stuff that happens in them that is pretty wild, considering it is a middle grade book. And if you know anything about James Moriarty, you know he goes on to become this mastermind criminal. And I think this book, and this was only the second one, I have one more to read. This one was called The Downward Spiral. It continues James's descent into becoming a criminal. So this one was a little dark. I still enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the third one here shortly. But this one's probably for more upper middle grade, maybe even young adult, considering some of the content behind it. And then the last book that I read this month, book number 8, and I realize this one's going to be a bit of a hot take. I read Harriet the Spy by Louise Fitzhugh. And I had never read this book before, so this was a brand new one to me. And I got to tell you, I hated it. It was the worst book I have read in a long time. I posted about this on a Reddit thing saying that I did not like the book, and I took a lot of flack for it because I know that it is a well-loved classic, but I don't understand why. There is nothing at all nice, kind, redeemable about Harriet. She used her notebook to write down horrible things about people, to say awful things, and then it's discovered by her friends, and you would think that would be the impetus to get her to change her ways. But she just played the victim and continued being awful. And then she goes to see a doctor to find out why she's acting this way. And they give her all of these little strategies to handle. She gets to write for the school paper. And what does she do with the school paper? She uses her platform on the school paper to say horrible things about people. She wrote like a nasty thing about her teacher. There was a club that she couldn't be a part of, so she used the paper to tear the club apart. Nothing at all redeemable. I don't see why this particular book is so beloved. Now, again, I realize this is a hot take. I also realize that I'm a 46-year-old man reading a children's book that was written 50, maybe 60 years ago. But this is not one that I enjoyed. It is not one that I will recommend. Honestly, if you tell me that Harriet the Spy is your favorite book, I'm gonna think twice about wanting to be friends with you, because that's a little crazy. So there you go. Those are the 8 books that I read. A lot of them I really enjoyed. 2 of them can't say that I did. But that's just kind of how it goes. I would like to know, what were you able to read in the month of December? Leave those titles down in the comments below. And what are your thoughts on Harriet the Spy? I'm sure that I'm probably in the minority when it comes to disliking this book, but I really did not like it. But let me know if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong. Leave those down in the comments. And of course, please remember to subscribe and share this video so that other people can join in our conversation as we talk about middle grade books and other things. And until next time, my name is Jonathan. This is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. We'll see you next time.